Whether it's your staff, a client, how available are you to answer questions? This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solutions. And I find that many accounting firms, they start off with this open door policy because they want to be accessible. They want to be helpful, client-centered, available to the team. And this is something that happens at all times. With some firms, it might be just during business hours. With other firms, they find themselves end up being available 24/7. There's no breaks whatsoever. But as your firm continues to grow and evolve, you find that you end up with constant interruptions. And some of the interruptions aren't just from clients or from your team. It's the technology also, email, phone notifications, social media. All these things are disruptive. And what happens as a result of that is it impacts your focus as well as your productivity, because when you're not focused, you're not as productive. So imagine this scenario. You are reviewing and analyzing a complex financial report. One of your team members knocks on your door, whether virtually or in person. They have this quick 5-minute question. And you stop what you're doing because you want to help. You don't want them to be stuck where they are. And as a result of that, it breaks your concentration and your focus. So they get the answer they need. They move on. And now you realize you were pulled away from your work. It affected your focus. You're kind of trying to figure out where you were again, get back to that level of concentration. And as a result of that, this 5-minute interruption went ahead and detracted from your focus as well as your productivity. In fact, a University of California Irvine study shows that it could take up to 23 minutes to regain focus after an interruption. That's almost an entire half hour of valuable time lost. So rather than that open door policy, I'd rather you create a culture of focused work for you and your team. This means that you want to be able to do things that minimizes distractions and protects your concentration. So here are a couple strategies on how to start implementing that. The very first one is you want to set specific office hours. No more available during work hours or even 24/7. Let's not have that happen any longer. We want to protect you, your time, and your well-being. So instead of being available at all times of the day as well as the evening, designate certain times of day where you are available. I like to call them office hours. And that's when you're going to be able to meet with people, whether it's clients or your staff, and answer questions. And if we're talking about your staff, and they have questions outside of these hours, encourage them to use something like email, maybe a project management system, or even Slack for those non-urgent matters. And a lot of firms even have Slack set up for their client communications also. But you want something that is set up so that you can communicate, whether it's with your clients or with your staff, when it's non-urgent, and then you can get to it on your time instead of on their time. So that's the very first thing, is set specific office hours. Number 2 is educate your team. So make sure that your team understands that there are certain times that are now set aside as uninterrupted work time. And you can do this with your clients also. Let them know that you will receive their messages, you have a system in place, and there are certain times when you check them to respond. And I would say with your clients, as well as with your staff, have them batch their questions. So if they have more than one question in a day, have them batch them together. And then during your open office hours, they can meet with you to discuss them and be able to get the answers they need to move forward. So that's the next thing, is educate your team, educate your staff about having certain times that are office hours, as well as how to be able to communicate when there are non-urgent questions by batching them together. And then number 3 is create a quiet zone. This might be dedicated space, whether it's in your office or outside or off-site. but some type of dedicated space where you can really concentrate and you know you're not going to get disruptions. You might also want to turn off any type of technology notifications. And the other thing is that, okay, if you don't have the luxury of doing work off-site, but you're in an office environment or even your home office where there's family and other people around, then go ahead and invest in a no disturb sign for your office door. So that way, even if you can't get away, you can go ahead and put the sign outside and they know that that's a time that they shouldn't be interrupting you and knocking on the door. Number 4 is you want to create a distraction budget. So this is another alternative. Decide in advance how many interruptions can you handle in a day, and that where it won't hijack your entire day or sidetrack your focus too much. So go ahead and budget for distractions and determine how many you can handle in one day. And then number 5 is train your team for independence. This is a game changer. This is where you want to encourage your team on finding solutions on their own before they come to you. Maybe there is more than one team member in your firm, and one is a little bit more senior. So maybe they go to that person first. And they come to that person with questions first before they come to you. We don't want you to always be the first responder. That's what this is coming down to. Or maybe you have given them access to accounting specific AI, such as Spark, or maybe there's another resource where they can go ahead and do some research before knocking on your door, because they might be trained that they can come in at any time. You have that open door policy, and it is easy for them to just come to you down the hall, virtually or in person, with their questions instead of expanding some effort on their own to find the answer before reaching out to you. So once again, create a culture of independence so that they are looking and researching for that answer themselves before they come to you with their questions. And by doing that, regularly encouraging them to be able to find answers on their own, being able to maybe even create resources for them where they can go look for commonly asked questions or particular processes you have available. You are minimizing the interruptions, and you're also building a more competent, capable, confident team. That is something that every firm owner benefits from. So by having focused attention, you're now able to improve accuracy because you're not going to be able to have your focus disrupted. It increases your productivity, which also means that you're not spending as much time on things. You're going to be more efficient, and it reduces stress because you're no longer wondering where you left off or trying to get back to that same level of concentration any longer. And also, this is not about being less approachable. It's about being more productive and effective in your role as a firm owner, and with your team, also empowering them on being able to find things on their own before they come to you. So once again, I'm interested in hearing what you took away from this, what resonates with you, what it is that you've been doing, and this goes ahead and reaffirms that. Would love to hear from you what you've been doing to turn your open door policy into one that has some boundaries, protects your time, and creates office hours. I look forward to further conversations. Lauren Fogelman, showing accounting firm owners how to double their income, working half the time.